How high is your social capital? It depends on how many marginalizations you can claim. It's like belonging to a minority group instantly grants you credibility and moral high ground and protects you from being questioned, as well as grants you immunity from criticism. We can see this demonstrated in the as a point, where absolutely any argument can be shut down with the as a, insert absolutely every identity that you belong to here. It's an attempt to gain leverage or an upper hand in disagreements. It's used when your neutral qualities or shortcomings are perceived as permanent traits or social barriers. Each identity that you belong to grants you points in the hierarchy. It makes you rich in victimhood currency. It diminishes one to just their identities. The same people who say that you're not just, you say you are as a. I'm more than my identity, but then proceed to use your identity as leverage to speak over others whenever it's convenient for you. How is victimhood culture supported? Well, first of all, emotional intensity is rewarded by virality and attention. Whether or not you are going to catch traction is do you have the rage factor? People like to see people angry for two reasons. I think the first obvious is that it makes them feel better about themselves. But second of all, if somebody is angry and they have the sensation of following a TikTok saga where of a varied emotion, where somebody is an emotional roller coaster, I feel like they have the sensation of being a part of the solution to a problem, or if anything, being a part of complaining, at least commiserating. It feels better than being a victim alone because misery loves company. And then cashing in this victimhood check by using the as a point or conversational hijacking or just generally just being a sour person to be around and receiving that sort of sympathy, I suppose. I could make a video on that. Cashing in your victimhood check. Let me know if you want to see my take on that, what I think about that. Like ways, victim privilege. Victim privilege, that's what we'll call it. But cashing in this victimhood check, it encourages the pushing of superficial representation over actual change. And not just change that benefits one group of people, because at that point, like I always say, what did we do it all for? Because if somebody else has to suffer, then now we have to fight all over again. Then it's not fair. Nothing's ever fair. So why do we have to pick who made us able to decide who it gets to be fair for? Who gave us that authority? Why can't we just be rational? All of these meretricious movements, it's just a case of mass ego stroking. So with issues like colorism in the United States, they're just insecure. And with issues like fat acceptance, they just don't want to change. Pretty much anything humanitarian that requires common sense is not an argument. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. In fact, if you live anywhere in a westernized country, there is probably a billion people right now who would do anything to be in your place. So don't be so arrogant. So what is one way that we can combat the use of victimhood as currency? How can we eliminate the emotional weight that victimhood seems to carry, the sort of shield, the impenetrable barrier in conversation that it seems to put up? These aren't going to be personal examples. These are going to be what I think we should do as a society. I think first we would have to identify where their need to throw up that identity was coming from. What insecure void is that filling? Like what purpose is that serving psychologically for you? Because I promise you I wasn't thinking nothing about that. If it is from a place of insecurity, I think that we should, first of all, realize within ourselves that there is no right or wrong way, I guess, to look. It's just, are you celebrated where you live? Check out my video on the exotic advantage. I'll link it down in the description below. You need to reframe how you think about your differences. Like I said earlier, the things that make people actually victims are not up for argument. Like maybe you have a disability. Like I have a physical disability that I won't disclose, but two things can be true at once. While things are made a little bit more difficult for people like us at times, I would absolutely be lying if I said there wasn't disability preference in some areas. In my youth, I got priority with local agencies that were able to get me into housing very quickly. Simply because one time I expressed I could not pay my bill, the hospital signed me up for a form of insurance that only children are apparently supposed to have, but I qualified for because of my specific disability. And I didn't even ask her to do that. I just told her I couldn't afford something. But for things that are changeable, for things that people just refuse to take accountability for and vehemently deny they're taking part in, you're throwing the rock at yourself and then hiding your own hand. For these people, I think as a society, we need to bring back shame. Now, I know you're thinking, whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean shame? Now, let me tell you the difference between shame and bullying. What is the difference between shame and bullying? Shame is that which what you did is shameful. And misplaced shame, so shame that is placed upon something that cannot or doesn't need to be changed, like God-given feature, something you were born with, that is misplaced shame. That plants the seed for self-hate, and that is insecurity. But shame, now saying that which what you did is shameful, now you cheated on your wife of 20 years. That is shameful. I would maybe even say having a personality trait that could lead to doing something out of line, that could qualify as having a shameful quality. You should be ashamed. Like I said, though, something that you should not be ashamed of is something that you cannot change, something that you were born with, something like your skin color. That is misplaced shame, and that is insecurity. But shame used to describe things that people have done or personality traits that may lead to slippage of morals maintains order. It's like when a parent would say, you should be ashamed of yourself. We can't whoop each other. So I think we should bring back shame. A healthy degree of shame. Now, don't make anybody want to... Come on. But what I'm saying is we need to be open to criticism. Not everything is a personal attack. Shame detaches the action from the person. Bullying says you are a bad person. You are stupid. You are dumb. You are this. Not because you did something bad, but because you are you. But shame detaches the action from the person. You are still a good person, but what you have done is shameful. And I think we need to stop being so hurt by people calling that out, because nobody's trying to hurt you. In fact, dare I say, it is a sign of tough love. Most kids who are products of actual tough love, that is not the A word, actually appreciate, I do hear a lot of them say, wow, I really do appreciate that my parents were so hard on me. And they talk about stories that don't involve physical situations. That's not tough love. Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned stern talking to? A boundary? What happened to a boundary? I don't see no kids getting grounded anymore. I haven't heard a parent say, little Timmy, that was wrong, in a long time. When we do this, we need to make sure we do this with love. We're not shaming people into being sad. We are criticizing them into changing. We are giving them constructive criticism into actually bettering their lives and bettering themselves. And we're doing it from the heart. We're doing it with kind words. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you know anybody who plays the victim whenever they can? They just pull up their victim card whenever it's convenient. Somebody that doesn't want to be reduced to their identities but flashes their identities like it's all that they are. And do you think we should bring back a healthy degree of shame? Let me know what you think down below, and if you want to hear more thoughts like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. Now go ahead and have the best, most blessed day, and be strong. Bye.